about something that affects all of us and we don't even realize it. And guess what it is? My name is Chinazam. I'm a Nigerian currently living in Germany. Psychological traps. So basically, today we are going to be talking about these psychological traps. They are based on psychological theories, but we are not going to get into that. I'm just going to be telling you what these psychological traps are and how they often show up and how we can avoid them if we want to. We don't really need to avoid them, but like I always say, I'm bringing you the knowledge just so you know. When you know it's like becomes part of your consciousness and you're just aware. There's nothing wrong in knowing, right? So yeah, basically these are like mental biases or like shortcuts. They show up in like our everyday lives and we don't know. So stay tuned. The first one that I like to talk about is one that is called anchoring trap. So this, like I said, this is based on the psychological theory, but we are not going to get into that. What is anchoring trap? So this is like when you see a piece of information and that piece of information acts as an anchor for every decision that you're going to make after experiencing that first piece of information. So basically an example is when you walk into a store and you see a nice pair of sneakers for 200 euros, right? And then you walk further and you see a similar pair of shoes for 100 euros. In your mind, you're like, wow, this is cheaper. And then when you walk further, you see another one, similar one for 300 euros. And you're like, wow, this is expensive. The reason the one of 100 euros and the one of 300 euros were cheaper and expensive is because you made your decision based on the first pair of shoes you saw, which were 200 euros, right? So now, like, how does this show up? Salespeople, marketing people use it a lot. So they tell you a price that is like unreasonable, and then they tell you a lower price. And I remember something that I learned back in the day is like door in your face. So they tell you something huge first and then tell you something lower. It's also like when somebody wants you to drive them to somewhere that is 20 minutes away, they can come and ask you, oh, please, can you drive me to this city, which is like 2 hours away? And you're like, no. And they're like, oh, how about you just drive me to the place that is 20 minutes away? So because you're using the second, they use the first request as an anchor, like they fell into that trap. So how can we avoid them? Basically, work with what is in front of you. If you go into a store like Black Friday or somewhere where they are doing sales, you might see a price and they've slashed it and they say, oh, the new price is like 50%. Focus on the 50% price. Don't put the first initial price on your mind. And this is how you can avoid falling into this trap. Like do your own like individual research and not use what the salesperson is offering you as like a discounted price or a slash price or whatever. The next one that we're going to be talking about is confirmation bias. I know that a lot of you are already familiar with confirmation bias, but I'm just going to like say something about it. It's kind of similar to the anchoring trap, but this one is just like happens like, let's say, why, like more vastly. So confirmation bias is like when you have a particular belief or beliefs and you actively search for information that supports that belief and then you just ignore all others. A typical example of that, what will I use? A typical example of that is like the whole diet culture thing happening nowadays. So imagine that you have or you believe that a particular diet works wonders. What will happen is that you will actively search for posts, success stories that support that belief that you already have, and every other thing or every other kind of diet doesn't matter. is not true because it does not support what you already believe in. How is this used on you? Social media. So like mostly on social media, like the whole algorithm theme that is happening now, even politicians, influencers, they use it. Like they constantly show you posts that you already like searching for, and it goes further to like, the whole confirmation bias stuff. So you already confirm it and you're seeing it more because you already have that belief, and when you're seeing it more, you're like, yeah, I knew this is true. So even influencers, they like push narratives of stories, not all, but like they repeat, and politicians do it too, they repeat stories and all that already resonates with their community or their fan base, and it gives them that sense of confirmation because they already believe it. So how do you challenge this? You challenge it by going out of your way, even if it's uncomfortable, to search for opposing perspectives. So if you already have like a belief about something, why not just check out like what is the opposite of this? Like what are the other ways? What are the other perspectives? And maybe be you will not fall into the trap of confirmation bias. The next psychological trap that we're talking about is called sunk cost fallacy. What is that? So this one is when you continue to invest in something simply because you've already put in resources into it. So think time, money, effort. Even if it doesn't make sense to continue to invest, you just keep doing it because you've done it in the past. You've invested in it in the past and you're just holding on to it, so you don't want to walk away from it because of you've invested so much, even if it doesn't make sense, right? So how is this used on you? Marketers and like businesses use this a lot. So imagine that you're subscribed to a service, paid service, or even like a mailing list, and then they're telling you you're the next to win this thing and all that. You're the next big star. And you're like, I've been paying for this thing. What if I'm really the next? Gambling institutions and like casinos also use this a lot. So you've been betting, for example, you've been betting for the last 1 year, and you want to stop because you know that it's not good for you, it's not a good habit to have, but you're like, people, they're showing me people that have won money. What if I'm the next? I've been betting for the last 1 year. What if I'm the next lucky person? How can you avoid this? Basically ask yourself, if I haven't invested this much in the past, will I still make this decision to do this right now? What this does is that it helps you focus on like future outcomes rather than holding on to like past investments. So yeah, watch out. The next thing that we're going to be talking about is the halo effect. Some of you may already know this, but I'll say something about it. So the halo effect is like when we take a positive trait of somebody or a thing and generalize it to other aspects. So for example, because somebody is attractive, we just assume that they are kind, smart, capable, and then we just like generalize, even though we have nothing to prove that they are smart, kind, and capable. So yeah, halo effect. So how is this used on you? Advertisers use this a lot to like businesses, because like this is I keep saying businesses and stuff because this is like how it's kind of shows up in our everyday life. So a product company might endorse a popular celebrity or a really attractive and pretty looking celebrity, and because you like their sense of style and how they carry themselves, you might just conclude and assume that the product that they are endorsing is also really good because you like them. So the positive trait of their fashion sense and their style, you have used it to like make a generalization which might not be true, and that product that they're endorsing, you don't know, you've not used it, you don't know anybody that has used it, but because the celebrity that looks attractive says it's good, then it's good. How do you avoid it? Basically, just don't jump into conclusions because something looks nice, you know. Because somebody excels in one aspect does not mean that they excel in every other aspect. So test things, but just know that having it at the back of your mind would help you not to get disappointed. So yeah, the fifth psychological trap I would like to talk about is called the framing effect. I was going to talk about seven, but like I'll reserve the two others for another time. What does this framing effect mean? It's basically when information is presented to you in a way that would influence your decision. So, an example is when you walk into a restaurant and they tell you this burger is 95% lean, and another place might tell you this burger has 5% fat. These two statements mean the same thing, like 95% lean and 5% fat mean the same thing, but because 95% lean feels more appealing, especially with what is going on in the world, you're more likely to buy a burger that says, or most people are more likely to buy a burger that says 95% lean than one that says 5% fat, I guess. Yeah. Also, okay, let me use this other example. Look at these two statements: buy one, get one free, 50% off each item. Which one are you more likely to go towards? Most people, according to research, would go towards the one that says buy one, get one free. So now, these two statements mean the same thing, but how they are framed may influence your decision making. So many, like even people in like everyday relationships, at companies, politicians, businesses, they use this framing effect a lot to influence the decision making process of like other people. One way that you can definitely avoid this is by looking at things from a neutral perspective. So work with the information that you have and like look at the two things and say, okay, these things mean the same thing. So like look at things from a neutral perspective. So why am I telling you all of these? When you know, it's important that you know how you're making your decisions and not that somebody or something or a strategy is influencing your decision making, right? So just be aware, so that when next you have to make a decision, you know that you're making it by yourself and not because of a psychological trap. So we have come to the end of this video. I would like you to leave a comment and tell me if you like this video, what you think about it. Am I lying? Or am I saying the truth? Do you like the video? Leave a thumbs up, share with your friends, knowing that these things can also show up like in other aspects of life, so you can search for more examples. So you can also leave in the comment section what you would like me to talk about, things you like to know and you don't have the time to research. I will do the research for you, or maybe I already know it and I would love to share with you. So yeah, subscribe and all of that good stuff. So see you in the next video. Cheers.